In the game of bocce ball, a ball is rolled across the ground. If the ball is released at 4 meters per second, it's supposed to be per second there, and slows down at 1.5 meters per second squared, then how far did the ball roll by the time it reached a velocity of 2 meters per second? All right, so let's look at some unit clues here. First off, I have it that's released at 4 meters per second, so that's the start of the motion. It slows down at 1.5 meters per second squared, so meters per second squared is an acceleration. And I want to know how far, that's going to be x, did the ball roll by the time it reached a velocity of 2 meters per second squared. So that's another velocity. That's kind of the end of our story. So if I'm thinking about drawing this out, I'll start with the ball traveling, let's say, to the right at 4 meters per second. And it's going to slow down at a rate of 1.5 meters per second squared. And since it's slowing down, it's going to be losing velocity, so that's going to be negative on the acceleration. And then it's going to reach a speed of 2 meters per second, also going to the right. And I'm trying to figure out how far that distance is going to be. So let's start with the givens. What do I know? All right, my givens. So I know the initial velocity is equal to 4 meters per second. I know the end of the story, which is the final velocity, is 2 meters per second. And this whole time, it's going to be losing velocity, so that's going to be a negative acceleration, 1.50 meters per second squared. I know it's losing velocity because it talks about it slowing down. And finally, I want to figure out how much distance all this takes. So the relationship I'm going to be using is, oops, we got a better V. V squared equals V naught squared plus 2AX. And I'm looking for x. So let me throw in my numbers. My final velocity is going to be 2 meters per second. That's squared. That's equal to my initial velocity, which is 4 meters per second squared, plus 2 times, remember, it's slowing down, so it's going to be a negative acceleration, negative 1.50 meters per second squared, times x. Okay, let's get rid of the units for a moment just so we can see what we have. So that'll be 2 squared is equal to 4 squared minus 2 times 1.50 times x. So you can see I took this negative sign and just, since everything's multiplied together, pulled it out like that. All right, so that's going to be 4 is equal to 16 minus 2 times 1.5, that's 3x. So subtract 16 from both sides, that'll be negative 12. And that's equal to negative 3x. So both sides I'm going to divide by 3. So divide this by 3. Negative 12, negative 3 actually, divided by negative 3. So negative 12 divided by negative 3 is 4. So x is equal to 4 meters, or as we might write it, 4.00 meters.